let's just assume that although the feedback that has been provided for you perhaps wasn't as constructive as it could have been, and on our end we might have been able to do a better job. But I want you to think a little bit about your performance, and if you can come up with something that you potentially did or could have done that would have changed the outcome of how this rotation went.
Well, going back to that portion where I said that they perceived me as arrogant, like for sure everybody can do better. It's not like I'm saying that I can't do better.
Right. So what would you think would have been something you did that might have made this worse?
Well, I think that sometimes because I'm very sort of loud and assertive, that the attendings think that I'm challenging them.
Right.
When I'm really just want to talk through my diagnosis, and I want them to challenge me back.
Right. But to be fair, we've worked together on more than one occasion, and I have felt that sometimes our interaction is almost combative.
But I don't mean it that way.
Okay.
I don't mean it. And, I'd like to not do it that way, but if I start with, I don't mean to challenge you, then it sort of sounds like
you're going to challenge me. Right. So maybe we could come up with a way that you could preface it, though, that would be a little more subtle, a little gentler, that would make the interaction go more smoothly.
Well, like thinking back to the other episode, maybe if when I was struggling with the diagnosis, if I had suggested, please, tell me more of what you think is going on.
There we go. Maybe that would have come across a little bit better. Tell me more about that. Oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe you could help me out. Maybe you could tell me more. Not leaning forward and just saying, well, where did you come up with that? I don't see any evidence for that here.
Yeah, no, I guess that doesn't
because I think that, kind of sends the wrong message. So I think, and this is something that I have felt in my training as well. If you're sort of a loud personality, and if you put yourself out there, and if you really do want to take ownership of the patient and make a stab at the diagnosis, those are all very, very good things. But sometimes it can come across as being overconfident, too assertive, even potentially arrogant. So one of the things that I think would be a good idea is if you just gave your preceptor sort of the insight into that from the very beginning. So you would say something like, look, I know I come across as being a little bit loud, and maybe you might think I'm overconfident, but I'm really not. I'm not obnoxious. I really need your feedback, and I need to depend on you as my teacher, that you will tell me what I'm doing well and what I'm not. And I really count on you for that, so I hope that's the relationship we can have. And if you kind of set the groundwork for something like that from the beginning, then maybe you'll find you can have better interactions.
Yeah. Like sort of the concept of like introducing my personality.
There you go. That's a great way of putting it.
Like, I'm a little loud, but I really want to discuss these cases and I want to learn.
Right.
And I want to learn from you. It makes me think this, when I was a medical student, I was on my surgery rotation and after the first day that my surgery preceptor took me aside and said, you might be helpful to tone it down a little bit. We're not quite used to your level of enthusiasm in the OR. And it was painful to hear. I got what he meant, and the rest of the rotation, rather than just say the first thing that came out, saying it, like I took a deep breath, and it was more thoughtful, and it ended up going really well. And in the end, that preceptor, to this day, I think of him as a mentor, and I'll go and I'll ask him, for advice.
Good. I think sometimes you have to give your teachers permission to be great teachers. And if you can do that, if you can have that kind of exchange with them, then maybe things will go better.